Welcome to Anvil Media's July 2021 webinar. Today we're going to be talking about e-commerce marketing overview and best practices, also with a little bit of a focus on conversion rate optimization. My name is Riley Grubb. I'm a paid media specialist here at Anvil Media. Alongside me here is Brandon Elston, a fellow paid media specialist. So today we are going to talk mostly about some e-commerce platforms across the digital media landscape, and some best practices and some basic instructions for things like setting up your Google Merchant Center, Facebook catalogs, as well as some paid search strategies specific to e-commerce conversion rate optimization, with a particular focus on e-commerce marketing. So without further ado, we'll jump right in. So as a quick introduction, kind of obviously in the past year and a half or so with the COVID-19 pandemic, it's been somewhat of a challenge for some brands, particularly a lot of brick and mortar retailers, to pivot a major portion of their business over to e-commerce, as e-commerce has seen really large gains in the past 2 years, mainly as driven by that COVID-19 pandemic. So really, over the past year and a half to 2 years, brands have been increasingly relying on e-commerce as a primary revenue driver, as brick and mortar retail locations have struggled to stay open and drive foot traffic, making it even more important for brands to develop an effective e-commerce strategy to reach relevant consumers across the web. In this webinar today, both Brandon and I will be discussing best practices and strategies across multiple digital advertising platforms, specifically relating to driving e-commerce sales. The webinar will cover e-commerce strategies the Anvil team has identified as being the most efficient in achieving the really highest volume of return on ad spend across some leading digital advertising channels. Some specific topics we're going to be talking about is we'll review setting up Google Merchant Center product feeds, developing effective Google Shopping ad campaigns, and some best practices around those, as well as optimizing Google search campaigns around driving sales and revenue. And then we'll round it out by discussing developing a Facebook product catalog and leveraging Facebook catalog ads. So jumping right in, first thing we're going to talk about is Google Merchant Center. So Google Merchant Center is one of Google's main web properties for retailers. It's a very valuable tool to help users discover, explore, and buy products across Google's web property. So whether that's Google Search, Google Shopping tab, as well as it can also lend itself to Google Shopping ads, which can serve ad placements really across most all of Google's properties, including YouTube, Gmail, etc. So Google Merchant Center is free to set up and publish product listings and product feeds. There is a free component. You actually have those products set up in Google Merchant Center show to users, and which would be commonly seen in like the Google Shopping feed or Google Shopping tab in a Google search engine result page. To sign up for Google Merchant Center, new users must provide some pretty basic info, but we'll run through it real quick. So you'll start just by entering your standard business information, things like business name, business address, and your time zone. And then also Google Merchant Center requests some additional information around kind of the user process of buying products either from your website or directly through the product feed itself. So you have to identify where customers check out when buying products, whether on your website. You can actually set it up through Google so that they can actually manage the transaction and checkout process, or you can also do it from your store location. So that's more be locally focused. Say if you have retail location, you can actually set up a Google Merchant Center product feed just to show your local inventory to users around that area. It also offers the ability to connect to a good amount of third-party platforms. The primary one we often see here at Anvil with clients using is Shopify. So Shopify is a third-party platform to manage product inventory online. And also, pricing information, product descriptions, images, kind of the whole gambit there. So it can connect directly with Shopify, and which makes this actual product feed setup quite a bit of a breeze as far as you don't really need to manage two feeds at once. You can actually just have that Shopify feed import directly into Merchant Center. And then finally, just some basic information that you'll need to provide around business contact information. And obviously just verifying that you are who you say you are and the business that you are running is legit. So Google Merchant Center, really the core feature of the platform is product feeds. So product feeds consist of either all of a brand's or retailer's products currently for sale, or oftentimes brands will decide to split up and actually create multiple product feeds around certain product categories. For large e-commerce retailers, that's a very common strategy. Although, each one of their main product categories, they'll have a separate product feed from. There's some advantages and disadvantages of doing that. For most new retailers getting into Merchant Center, I probably recommend just starting with a single product feed that's featuring all of your products. The only time that's probably not a good idea is if you are a local retailer product and want to feature products that are just available in store and not available for online purchase. In that case, it's probably best to actually create product feeds specific to each one of those brick and mortar retail locations. So product feeds can be uploaded manually, either manually through a content API or through a scheduled fetch from a host file. So that would be actually a scheduled fetch from a Google Sheets or an Excel file. Or really the easiest, probably least technically knowledge way of doing it is through a Google Sheet. Google Sheets has an integration with Google Merchant Center, so you can actually pull a template for free straight off of Google Sheets and then upload straight to Merchant Center, all from Google Sheets. So that template features things like product title, product description, pricing, shipping information, product linking to product images as well. And then you can also include things like sale prices and promotions, which can be really effective in driving revenue when you have like shorter term sale prices, and that information is also displayed to users. So for example, if a product's on sale, only for until maybe the next week, that information is shared to users in the Google Shopping as well. So they can be able to see it adds some degree of timeliness and urgency for users shopping for your products. You'll be entering and uploading specific product information. So like I just reviewed that already. So product titles, descriptions, links to the product on the site, on your website, pricing information, obviously. Condition is another one, and product availability. So you can also publish products that are currently out of stock or that will be in stock soon. It's not limited to only products that are currently have inventory available. After you enter all your product metadata, you can upload that sheet to Google Merchant Center, and then that will instantly create a product feed. And this can be ongoing updated. So I would highly recommend avoid manually uploading your product feed to Google Merchant Center. If it's common or at all frequent where you're having changes in pricing information or changes in inventory status. So if you have products that often or even sometimes run low or are out of stock, I would highly recommend just keeping with the Google Sheet, or actually for that matter, if possible, doing a content API integration. So you can always have your product feed completely up to date with real-time information. It's a very, one of the challenges and pitfalls a lot of advertisers or retailers run into when managing product feeds in Google Merchant Center is keeping all of that information up to date. And Google can flag accounts if they detect that information is incorrect. So for example, if your product feed is showing a product in stock, therefore it's appearing in the Google Shopping tab as an in-stock product with a certain price associated with it. And if a user were to click through to that and end up on the actual product page on the retailer's website, if that metadata information on that product does not line up, Google will flag you for that. And multiple infractions of that nature can lead to a product feed being suspended and ineligible to run Google Shopping ads. Like I mentioned before, I would recommend starting with a single product feed. Google Merchant Center can support multiple primary and supplemental product feeds. Is kind of how they categorize them. And Merchant Center users often categorize feeds, like I mentioned, by product category is a pretty big common one, as well as by store location for local inventory that might not be available online. Another thing I'll mention here is Google Merchant Center, once you actually publish a feed and make it open to the public, all of the products in that feed are eligible to appear in the Google Shopping tab. However, I would strongly recommend for any brand with an e-commerce focus to also supplement that with Google Shopping advertising campaigns, utilizing that product feed, as those Google Shopping ads can reach a far more number of users across multiple placement options, as well as even in the Google Shopping tab, sponsored products or products included in a Google Shopping ad campaign will always appear above the organic results or the free listings published by other retailers. So once a Google Merchant Center product feed is set up and published, that then creates an eligibility to run that product feed through a Google Shopping campaign. So any retailer enrolled with Google Merchant Center and has at least one active product feed are eligible to run Google Shopping advertising campaigns. These can be created via Google Merchant Center or through Google Ads. So if you're familiar with running Google search campaigns, display campaigns, or Google video campaigns, it's going to be a pretty easy process to get a new Google Shopping campaign up and running as well. These type of campaigns don't really require any additional creative details or ad copy. It's just using exclusively the information at the product level from the product feed. So you can see here the example on the right of this screenshot. This would be like for Jordan sneakers. You can see those are all the ones highlighted in that red box are all sponsored Google Shopping results. So these would all be products included in a product feed that are promoted via Google Shopping campaign. And like you can see also in that screenshot, the actual Google Shopping ads or those products in that product feed can appear obviously in the Google search engine result pages at the very top, is what the example we're seeing. They can also appear within the shopping tab. So if you were to click over to that shopping tab on the right, they would also appear there, as well as a few different other placement options. Google in shopping campaigns can turn your actual shopping cards, is what they call them, for each one of those product cards, into a display ad to serve across the Google Display Network, similar to a Google Display campaign, and that can feature multiple products per actual ad unit, as well as they have a few other ad units that can serve across YouTube, as well as Gmail, and a few other Google properties as well. So Google will utilize data in that product feed to show shopping ads to users in Google search engine result pages and across the web in a lot of those placements I just mentioned. I also mentioned before, really you don't need any additional creative assets beyond the product information in the product feed. So once a product feed is established and published, that's really all you need in order to set up a new Google Shopping campaign. Google Shopping campaigns utilize daily budgets and are automatically optimized for maximum return on ad spend. And you have a few different targeting options available to you. You can utilize Google's Smart Shopping campaign feature, which basically puts all of the targeting criteria in Google's court to have Google attempt to match up users that are most likely going to be interested in your products based off of their previous web history, and also based off of kind of a audience persona information based off of you, based off of your previous or users that have previously purchased products from your site. So Google does a pretty good job of establishing that targeting and really maximizing return on ad spend and really going after the higher conversion rate users. However, you also do have the option to manually adjust your audience targeting for shopping campaigns. That would include setting up custom audiences within Google Ads, and where you can target by different interest and affinity categories. So that's similar to how you would target like a display campaign on Google. You can also have the ability to run exclusive like remarketing campaigns. So only target users either that are included on a custom email list that you have uploaded to Google Ads, or users who have previously converted from your site, or previous website visitors, or for that matter, web page visitors. So there's quite a bit of targeting options you can do. For newer advertisers, new to Google Shopping, I would highly recommend the Smart Shopping campaign feature, as it can be really effective at gaining a lot of transactions and revenue, and a really strong return on ad spend out of the gate, and also establish a baseline return on ad spend to what your overall product feed is reporting. At that point, once you are pretty comfortable with running shopping campaigns and you're seeing you're comfortable with your return on ad spend, oftentimes is beneficial to kind of do some A/B testing with a smart shopping campaign versus a manually targeted Google Shopping campaign. Basically, just see if you can outsmart Google in a way in creating some custom audience targets that outperform the smart shopping campaign targeting. Some benefits of Google Shopping. You can see here kind of a quick outline in this screenshot of some placement options. So shopping ads can serve, like I mentioned before, in those search engine result pages, as well as on the Google Shopping tab. In display ads that can feature multiple products for a single ad unit. They can also appear on YouTube, as well as on Gmail. And whether you're using a Google Smart Shopping campaign tactic or a manual audience campaign tactic, or what they call a standard shopping campaign, oftentimes the remarketing to previous users who have previously visited that product page on your website or your website overall can be a really effective strategy in remarketing those users and getting that product information back in front of them across wherever they are on the web, across either whether they're on a Google property or not. So if they're on any publisher site, there's a good chance they could see that a display ad featuring those product or other products in the same category. And this is kind of also where splitting up products into multiple product feeds by product category can be beneficial. So in this example screenshot for display here, you can see like 6 different products here. If you were to split up your products into specific product categories, product feeds, that can be really beneficial because it can add a lift to other products in that same category that users are likely to be interested in if they previously visited a product page on your site. They can then be served display ads featuring multiple products within that same category. Google Shopping ads serve to users across the web, and generally to users who have shown interest in your product, brand, or product category, not necessarily if you're using a Google Smart Shopping campaign tactic, not necessarily it's exclusively going to be targeting users who have previously visited that product page on your site or your overall website. It can also serve to users who have searched for similar type products or specifically products in the same category that might be from a different brand. So that's a good way to do some even competitive conquesting in that regard, to where you can get your products in front of users who might be actually researching and contemplating a purchase decision around a different product within the same category that might be offered by a different brand. Google Shopping also allows the ability to create and target custom audiences, like I mentioned before, so you can target by interest or affinity categories, as well as some like life events is one I didn't mention before. So things like people who have just purchased a new home, people who just got married, people, new empty nesters. There's a whole plethora of different both interest, affinity, and life event categories offered in Google's audience building feature that can be really effective in leveraging in shopping campaigns. I did mention this, I think, before as well, that Google Shopping ads will pretty much always appear ahead of free Google Merchant listings in the Google Shopping tab. So this can be really effective to, even if you have a Google Merchant Center product feed published and you have free listings published in the Google Shopping tab, supplementing that with a Google Shopping campaign to move those listings up on the page to really be right above the fold and front and center for users can be really effective in driving transactions and revenue, especially if you are in a fairly competitive product category. You can also, within shopping ads, advertise things like sale prices, promotions, and shipping information, and that's all controlled through the Google Merchant Center product feed. This can be especially effective if, say, you're in a product category where your retailer or your website is offering free shipping or a special promotion price that your competitors may not be offering. It can be really effective, a really big incentive for users that are browsing that Google Shopping tab if they see a product, obviously, that's on sale or that's offering free shipping compared to competitors that might not be offering the same incentives.
Perfect. Now I'll be getting into the Google search ads. Google search ads pair really well with Google Shopping ads because they can both show up in the same listing. which gives you the benefit of showing up multiple times in a search results page and get higher click-through rate over to your website, which is terrific. So these optimizations are going to be above and beyond kind of what you would do for a standard Google Ads account, specifically for e-commerce. Obviously, you want to have good account structure and do keyword planning, but these are going to be specific optimizations for e-commerce. First thing I wanted to highlight is specifically going into the ads. One of the things you can utilize is a countdown customizer to highlight a limit time offer, and it kind of puts the sense of urgency on your customers. So this past weekend, July 4th, I was looking for mattresses, and you could see all across the internet countdown customizers being used, showing you only a few hours left in the sale, a few days left. And again, it kind of highlights the time period your sale is going on and kind of puts the sense of urgency on your customer. Another option you have is dynamic keyword insertion. This is another really great one. If you have a bunch of keywords in your ad group, or if you want to make sure your ads relate specifically to your customers. So in the example you see down below, in a search for noise canceling headphones, it says right up in the headline, noise canceling headphones. And that can be accomplished through dynamic keyword insertion. Sometimes you'll see ads online where it's just a general branded ad. It doesn't use a display URL. It doesn't really highlight exactly what your search is for. And those can definitely lower your click-through rates and not get as good of engagement just because you don't really know where you're going through on the website. Also, ad groups with a bunch of keywords. So let's say you have a bunch of different brands of shirts and keywords for each one of those. Instead of saying shirts for sale, you might want to have Nike shirts for sale or Under Armour shirts for sale as a dynamic keyword that can be inserted. So that way people feel like they're finding what they're looking for in those search results and get better click-through rates. So those are just a few tips there with the ads. And now going through the extensions, these are 4 extensions I wanted to kind of review specifically for e-commerce that should help you get better results. First one being image extensions. This is one that Google has just recently, over the past few months, rolled out a beta onto a lot of different accounts. So if you see this in there, it's definitely something to test. And it is pretty new, so not a lot of clients are using it quite yet. So it can give you the upper advantage if you start using that immediately. So image extensions, what you want to have, you can see in the example there, is a square image featuring the product. You really want it to be a clean image. So when you look at the image, if you had nothing else around it, you could understand what that ad was advertising. You want to make sure the product is featured in the center 80% of the image. You also we would recommend adding probably up to 3 different images, similar to a responsive and an expanded ad. Just that way you can test which ones get the best interaction. You can include a landscape image, but you have to have that square image in there. And again, it's really great for improving the click-through rate and gives people an instant idea of what your ad's about. These will only show up on mobile and if you're in the first result. So now I'm going to move on to call-out extensions. And just as the extension says, it's great for calling out some of those unique selling propositions you have at the end of your ad. So things like free shipping, if you have a wide variety of sizes, if you use only organic materials, if you've been a family business for 25 years, those are all great things you could call out there. And just kind of gives a person a refresh of what makes you unique and what are some of those unique features you have. And also, so you don't have to necessarily call them all out in the ad text. It's included there in those extensions, so you can easily and quickly highlight those features of your business and really make it stand out. So I'm going to move on now to promotion extensions. This is one of the most underutilized extensions I've seen. And so you can see here, this one is for a Black Friday sale, 30% off shoes. What makes a promotion extension really great is you can add it on to any of your ads without changing the ads. So if you have a lot of ads running at one time and don't want to necessarily update all of them for the sales you have going on, you can easily include this promotion extension to highlight what your sale is, the time period, right on all those ads, and it really creates a nice call out for the sales going on there. You can do a percentage off for the promotion extensions or a monetary value, depending on which one you see more beneficial. And you can also do an up to amount. So you can say like up to 30% off sale or up to, $100 off. And again, this is something I saw a lot across the web during July 4th. If you ever want to see an example, searching around the holidays, you will get a lot of these put out there. And you can also link it specifically to a sale page. So instead of linking right to the footwear page, if you have a separate page there for footwear on sale, that would be something you could also use for the promotion extension. And now I'm going to shift gears over to the price extension. This is the last one I wanted to highlight here. It does show a little bit differently depending on how people are searching. You can see this search was done on a desktop, and so it has the drop down there. Some of the benefits of a price extension you can see here, like for this search was done doing just kind of a general king size mattress reviews here. So I can see that I have a generalized ad for those mattresses, but then I can also call out the brands I have and the price point. So maybe I've heard of a purple mattress before as I'm searching for my next mattress. This is a great way to click through and you can see those specific units on a website. It's also great for highlighting any units you have on sale, again, kind of showing those price points there. And another benefit I've used for price extensions is kind of qualifying leads. So an example I have is I used to work with a client that sold buses and passenger vans to government entities and schools. And the most inexpensive van they had was $19,000. Well, a really big trend nowadays is to take cheap vans and turn them into campers to go on great weekend trips, and people are searching for vans, $5,000, $4,000, which isn't really the customer they're trying to attract. So one of the ways we use the price extension to help combat that is by putting it out there where our starting prices were on a lot of the products. And that was one way we helped cut down on those leads that weren't such good quality, just because it kind of highlights right off the bat what the prices are and kind of eliminates them from clicking through to the website. So those are the extensions I want to highlight for e-commerce and kind of how those can help you. And now I'm going to go on to choosing a bidding strategy. So there's 4 bidding strategies we have listed out here. Each one of them are focused around conversions. If you're having a hard time starting out and getting conversion data, you might want to try a different bidding strategy like enhanced cost per click or something along those lines. The 2 kind of categories you'll see for a conversion-based bid strategy is focusing around the conversions themselves and focusing around the value of the conversion. The difference there, the maximize conversions and the target CPA bidding strategy are going to focus on the raw number of conversions you have. So let's say selling 5 t-shirts, those are going to be the amount of conversions, the amount of sales are what's going to focus on, whereas maximize conversion value and target ROAS are going to be focused on the value. So it takes into account, did one order have 1 t-shirt, or did it have a t-shirt, a pair of shoes, and a new hat, and optimizing around the value that conversion brings to your business. Now, a couple words of caution here. So when choosing a bidding strategy, the maximize conversion and maximize conversion value are good to start off with. One of the things you'll find, though, is that these bidding strategies maximize your budget. So they try to use your entire budget throughout the day. And this can be an issue when, let's say, we're selling that t-shirt for $50. And if the conversion cost per acquisition is going to be $50, it doesn't give us any revenue there, and that can obviously be an issue. So that's when some of the other bidding strategies come into play. But if you have a set budget, or maybe you're just trying to get as many leads as possible, that's when using those maximize strategies are going to really work well for you. Now, let's say you have 15 conversions or so. That's really what you need to start using the targeted bidding. 30 plus is even better. That's when you can switch over to those targeted CPA and target ROAS strategies and set up your conversion values there. Usually what we'll recommend is taking your cost per acquisition from your other bidding strategies like maximize conversions and setting those a few dollars short when setting up your target CPA. And that can, again, help drive down some of those cost per acquisition dollars. But again, you need to have the conversion value there for Google to work. Otherwise, it might not make the best decisions and really waste your ad spend. So those are some red flags definitely to look out for there. And another thing is when setting up, you really want to pick between the conversions and conversion value. It can be a little bit harder to set up that conversion value, but again, it's going to give you more information, whereas one sale might be worth $5 and one worth $50. You really want to be able to separate that out there. And now I'm going to pass it back off to Riley.
Okay, so into Facebook catalogs. So most retailers and digital advertisers are at least somewhat familiar with running Facebook ads, or at least familiar with interacting with Facebook ads, either on Facebook, Instagram, or any of the Facebook other properties like WhatsApp. However, far fewer retailers and advertisers have taken advantage of Facebook catalog advertising, and specifically utilizing the Facebook Shop feature. So Facebook catalogs operate similar to Google Merchant Center product feeds, where advertisers upload information about the items they have for sale. So all of the metadata kind of on a spreadsheet, very similar to Google Merchant Center product feeds. Advertisers must first upload that product information, also including images, pricing information, as well as all of the metadata, so product titles, descriptions, as a new Facebook catalog. Facebook catalogs, these can be dynamically updated by connecting the catalog to a third-party e-commerce platform, again, such as like Shopify, which is a common one we see at Anvil with our clients. So really, think about it as pretty much the Google's version of Google Merchant Center product feeds. It's very, very similar in terms of layout and the number of fields you actually have to enter. And then also it plays very nicely with Shopify integration as well. And Shopify is not the only third-party platform it can connect with. There are a few others as well. So the screenshot you can see below, this kind of gives you a kind of an outline of how they function. So you have your product catalog featuring multiple products and all of the information around those specific products. And then you can actually use that product catalog to insert into Facebook ads themselves. So whether that's in a specific creative template in Facebook, and there's a few different to choose from, or utilizing a dynamic product ad where actually Facebook will choose what products to show to users in various different formats. So Facebook catalog advertising. So the first step is going to be actually establishing that Facebook catalog. I chose not really to walk through the actual step-by-step process, since it's incredibly similar to Google Merchant Center. And if you need any other information on that, Facebook has some good documentation around setting up a new Facebook catalog. So once that Facebook catalog is set up and published in a Facebook ad account, advertisers are then eligible to run that Facebook catalog in different Facebook ad campaigns across a few different campaign types as well. And that's all handled through Facebook Ads Manager, which I think most advertisers are familiar with. So Facebook catalog campaigns really operate pretty similar to other Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns. However, oftentimes ad creative is dynamically constructed via that product information from the product catalog, as opposed to manually inserted. So if I know a lot of advertisers are familiar with running like single image ads on Facebook, or even carousel ads on Facebook, where you actually upload all of the images and headlines and URLs specific to each slide of that carousel. So by implementing Facebook catalogs products, what you can do is actually, rather than manually uploading each slide individually, you can upload, say, like a title slide of a Facebook carousel ad, and then have all of the remaining slides actually just pull straight from your Facebook catalog that would feature specific products. So enabling dynamic formats and creative within Facebook ads allows Facebook to optimize that ads format, creative, and destination for each individual user on Facebook. So that feature will serve ads or can serve ads in either single image ads, carousel ads, or ad collection or product collection formats to users across Facebook's properties. So these are called, each individual product you see here on the bottom, each one of those cards, they're called catalog cards. And those can be inserted into either a single image ad. So you can have a dynamic ad that will actually pull in different product cards and serve to different users. Say if a user visits your website, visits the product page on your website, then they could be theoretically eligible to receive a single image ad when they revisit Facebook or any of Facebook's properties, featuring a single image ad of that specific product card, or a carousel ad or a catalog ad featuring that product or other products in that same category. And then these can be run alongside manually uploaded images and videos. So if you wanted to, kind of do a bit of a hybrid type strategy, where you're actually maybe taking some of your existing Facebook and Instagram ads that are not featuring your catalog products, and you can actually run like a title image or some other like lifestyle or promotional images in conjunction in the same actual ad unit as those Facebook catalog cards featuring those products. Some big benefits of running Facebook catalog ads. Really, it is a great way of utilizing multiple ad formats to serve the users and displaying that product information. And then also, because it's pulling from that product feed or the catalog feed, I should say, it should always be updated with real-time information. So if pricing changes on your website or through your Shopify, that is automatically ingested into Facebook. So you don't really have to manage two different feeds in that case. So things like sale prices, pricing, even shipping information is automatically pulled in there. You can also include, like I mentioned, product catalog cards alongside other advertising messaging in Facebook carousel ads. So things like I said, like a title card, or in conjunction with maybe some lifestyle images or other promotional images. Or if you're running like a sale campaign, I know a common one we've seen in the past couple of weeks, obviously, has been 4th of July sales. So you could start off with some 4th of July sale image or images, or even a video in a carousel ad, followed by catalog cards featuring actual specific products pulled in from the Facebook catalog. Facebook catalog ads will rank and serve best performing products first in the carousel. So this is an optional feature you can enable on Facebook, to where you can the actual order and which ads appear in a carousel ad can be optimized based off of how popular that product is, product availability as well. So if a product is out of stock in the Facebook catalog, it can be actually automatically disapproved from running in carousel ads. So you're not going to be advertising products that you don't currently have in stock. And then this can also be done on Facebook can kind of do this on a user by user basis too. So if a user is searching for handbags, in the example here in the screenshot, and then they come back and see on Facebook and see a carousel ad featuring your product feed from your Facebook catalog, it would be more likely they would actually see handbags as opposed to other products in your product catalog. Facebook also prioritizes ads featuring Facebook product catalog cards compared to standard single image or carousel ads. So if you were to say upload a Facebook carousel ad or a single image ad and not utilize Facebook catalogs, but still have the ad very much feature products, so you could actually conceivably you can manually enter pricing information and product information just manually through Facebook Ads Manager. Facebook actually prioritizes these ads featuring that product catalog cards, mainly so they can get more data from you because they have all of that catalog information stored as well. So Facebook wants to learn about shopping habits, obviously. So the more data they can get from a user or an advertiser through this experience, they're obviously going to prioritize that ad type versus doing it manually, where they have somewhat limited shopping information data. You can also advertise, like I mentioned, sale prices, promotions, and shipping information, which is all controlled at the catalog product feed level. So that can be updated in real time via your Shopify integration, or just going in and actually updating that feed, or whatever integration you have that's actually pulling into that product feed. So that concludes our presentation today. We did want to do a quick shout out for our next webinar hosted by Anvil Media, which will be August 11th at 12 p.m. And we'll be switching gears a bit. It'll be focused on SEO, specifically local search best practices and trends. Again, that's August 11th at noon. So if you're interested in that topic, feel free to sign up. It should be a very interesting conversation. We have some really skilled SEO specialists here at Anvil Media that will have some really good tips and best practices around local search that it can be really beneficial for retailers and advertisers really trying to target their local audience. So again, my name is Riley Grubb, and with me is Brandon Elston from Anvil Media. We'll be signing off now. Thank you so much for joining and attending this webinar. And we hope you have great success with your e-commerce optimizations in the future. Thank you.